Why build it here in New York? It feels like fintech is an obvious choice when you think about the financial institutions here.
I mean, I had a huge opportunity to pick up and move to New York a number of years ago to chase my passion about the intersection of financial services and tech. And here we are. As I set out to found Orum, there's no better place in the world to recruit diverse talent and to live in an ecosystem where there's grit and tenacity and frankly, opportunity, in particular in fintech with what we're building. And I admit, every time I see that New York skyline, I think, wow.
Okay, so talk about the opportunity in terms of who wants your products and what sort of products they want to be. Because you've been at plenty of other startups. I mean, I think of Lenvest. That was a great exit, sold to another financial institution. What did you see that needed to be fixed, and why was New York the place to do it?
Well, there's a really unique insight. So let me tell you what Orum does, and then let me tell you about the problem. We are the simplest API for fast, reliable payments, and now instant bank account verification, which we actually just launched right before Tech Week, so it's exciting times. And when I was inside of big financial services, I saw this huge problem, which is time to money. More than half of Americans don't have enough money in case of emergency, and if they do, and it's a high-yield savings account or it's a brokerage account, on a Saturday, when they have the emergency, they can't get access to it.
I thought that's what crypto was for.
Well, it turns out the most recent innovation is actually the ATM, which isn't good enough. So with the advent of instant payments, we think that it's important to rebuild the infrastructure that all of our financial services and banking products sit on top of.
And so now you've got this new rail, which has been put forward by the Federal Reserve. How does this compare? How does a financial technological ecosystem here in the US compare to abroad at the moment?
Well, you know, we are behind, let's say, relative to Europe and other areas where instant payments has been sort of the norm or has recently been introduced, but we're catching up. What I love about what the Fed has done with FedNow and the instant payments product and what we've had now for a couple of years with RTP, real-time payments, is the beginnings of an opportunity for consumers and businesses alike to see the advantages of something happening instantly, right? In our everyday lives, most things are faster and instant. In our financial lives, everything is slow. 5 days a week, maybe if it comes in before the cutoff on Friday, the transaction can happen. That's just no longer possible to sustain. And so now with FedNow, you not only get the large, top 200, 300, 400 banks through the Fed's new instant payments product, you also get all of the coverage for smaller, critically important, systemically important banks, as well as community-focused banks. So now we're getting distribution of instant payments. And the dynamic has changed around what you can do for the American wallet when an insurance claim, wages, any sort of financial transaction can happen 24/7, 365, nights, holidays, weekends, as opposed to 9 to 5 banking hours.
And I just think about that crux point that we saw back March 13th when we were concerned about the Silicon Valley Bank and the rush to try and get payments through then and there. To that point, I mean, what a tumultuous 2023 it actually has been. I mean, I can't believe it's only about 6 months since that debacle in the banking area. For you, because you're launching these new products, because you're seeing this sort of level of innovation, do you have VCs knocking? Do you have the new VCs that are putting boots on the ground here in New York City knocking?
Well, let me start by saying our first investors were boots on the ground in New York before it was popular to be in New York City. So I'm obviously steadfast about believing in the ecosystem here. And yeah, there are people knocking at the door, I think, because the importance of the problem and the job to be done is huge. That said, I think fundraising is a very specific thing, and it shouldn't be just done casually. And what I love about the current environment is there's time now built in. Unlike 2020, 2021, where you're deciding in a weekend, between you and your investors, you can make a decision about what this is going to look like because you are signing up for a very long-term, lifelong relationship with people that are going to sit on your board. And we've endeavored to have our board be at least 50% female. We've endeavored to have our rounds focused on having representation for female and underrepresented investors. And so I can't rush that process. Despite interest in the current environment, I think it's really important to establish incredibly good relationships so that when you say, let's handshake and put capital into a business that's growing, you know that you're doing it in a way that's designed to fuel the next chapter and not just because that's what the environment is promoting today.
Okay, interesting. So you've got a real focus on a diverse board. I'm sure you're therefore also got a real focus on diverse talent. Is the talent, from a tech perspective, more diverse here in New York? Or do you look to hire in New York? Do you look to just be sort of agnostic as to where your people sit?
Well, Orum is actually a COVID baby, which means during all of our growth and fundraising, we were doing that during pandemic time. So we do have the advantage of having both a footprint here in New York and the opportunity to think about our core value of diversity of thought through diversity of people broadly across the US. I think the diversity of talent here is exceptional because people come to New York for some of the world-class engineering programs and design programs that are based right here in Manhattan. And as a result of that, you have not only talent that's rolled out of other successful, well-built companies that want to go back into earlier stage companies, you also have an influx of folks with engineering talent coming out of the education system. And because New York is already such a diverse place, that naturally creates a population of opportunity. But I think we would be remiss in not looking broadly where we can find the most diverse talent to build, frankly, the best team. And that doesn't always have to be from Stanford or Harvard. Diversity and obviously incredible talent comes from everywhere.